So, hello, people and world. It has been a long time since I have made a YouTube video. And I'm starting and ending a lot of things in my life. And, due to some guidance, I have decided to take this more seriously and share myself and my ideas. And I wanted to share about, since it's a full moon eclipse on the Libra Aries axis, and I'm a Libra, and this eclipse has a lot to do with letting go of relationships. I thought I would share a bit about my journey and my experience of letting go of relationships, more specifically to substances. And while there are still substances that I'm willing to exchange and interact with, I have now started the journey of no longer smoking weed or tobacco. It's been about a month since I have not smoked weed or tobacco. And I guess I could start in the beginning. When I first started smoking weed, I was 18 years old, and it's pretty late. Like, I've always been a late bloomer in terms of my development. But yeah, I didn't start smoking weed until I was about 18 years old. I had an uncle who was straight edge, and he really inspired me to not partake in any sort of substances. I didn't even start drinking alcohol until I was 20, 21. And when I started smoking, it was because I liked this dude at the time. And, I thought, a way to be closer to him is to spend time with him and smoke weed. And even when I first started smoking, I kind of felt this odd thing between me and my friends. Soon it became we weren't hanging out to hang out. We were hanging out to find weed, find a place to smoke weed, and because this was before weed was legal, and I've always struggled with addiction. I've always had an addictive personality. When I was a kid, it was video games, TV, pretty much anything. Even reading, which is not a bad thing, but I remember being in elementary school in book clubs and just being obsessed with reading. And so it's not always a bad thing to have that sort of hyper-focused personality. It's just about where we channel it. And for a long time, my relationship with weed was just weed. And it was, I would stop, I would go, I would take months off, take long periods off. And I felt like my relationship had just transformed over time. And it really transformed when I moved to Kauai and I started smoking tobacco, because I was living on the beach and weed was harder to come by than a cigarette. And I also didn't have income, so it was easier to just cut the weed with tobacco. And this is coming from somebody who never, ever, if you'd asked me when I was 23 if I ever thought I was gonna smoke tobacco, the answer would have been no. I was vehemently against tobacco. I told myself I would never buy a pack of tobacco. I would never buy like little cartridge. I was like super, super, super against tobacco. And then hard times befell me. And I was around very influenced, not that that's an excuse, but I was influenced by people where it was around. So I was like, oh, okay, like, let's try it. Let's see. There's got to be a reason people are smoking it. And I think I was looking for anything to kind of help me alleviate the struggles that I was going through on a day-to-day basis, being houseless and lost in the world. And 2 years later, 28, I started smoking tobacco, and then it's now been 2 years, and I could say that tobacco really controlled my life for a while. For those 2 years, it was like I could take breaks, but something would happen, or like my nervous system would be dysregulated, or like just going through a tumultuous time, and I'm like, man, I really want to smoke, like, and I at this point, from 28 to 30, I couldn't just smoke weed by itself anymore. And I think before that too, like, weed would make me really anxious. I would just get super paranoid. I'd feel like I'm not supposed to like be there, like I have to go home and just like remove myself from environments. So I also, like, the tobacco helped sort of ground that. And there's different ways to pray with tobacco, and it is a sacred herb that indigenous people have used for a long time, but the way I was using it was not in a sacred way. And when you abuse the medicine, any medicine, you can just experience a lot of repercussions. And yeah, I was in the thralls of my addiction, smoking 6 to 8 spliffs a day, I had a job after, the 2 years. Life happens. I left that environment. I stopped smoking for 8 months, and like weed and tobacco. But as soon as I left that environment, I once again went right back to it. And yeah, it was, it was a band-aid. It was a band-aid for my lack of foundation and my lack of structure. And the dopamine I would get from buying it, rolling it, and smoking it, because I'm really good at rolling. Like, not to toot my own horn, but I could do it lickety split and have a spliff or two ready within 5 minutes, less than that, and I enjoyed the feeling of being good at something and knowing I was good at it, but yeah, it just became this thing where I was smoking so much that I really didn't have time to cultivate the things that I wanted to do. And I felt depressed and anxious, and like I felt like I was using weed and tobacco to placate myself, to like be tolerable to other people, because I'm very emotional. I'm very like full spectrum human, and a lot of people can only handle a certain amount before they're like, whoa, and that's okay. They're just not my people, and that's okay, but in order to be tolerable and tolerated, I would sedate myself, essentially. And it was just causing all kinds of problems. I was, again, feeling really depressed, really anxious. It was like I would smoke and then would immediately want to lay down, or immediately like compress myself. And I don't really know what shifted in me. I turned 30 in October, and I think something switched where it was like, if I want to attract healthy people, I need to be healthy. And you know, I was hardcore vegan for a long time. And my brother, my 11-year-old brother, would make fun of me. He would look at me and go, because I would smell like cigarettes. I would come in from smoking and I would give him a hug or something, and he'd be like, "Oh, you stink," you know. And like, I don't want to stink. I don't want my just inner body to be messed up. If I ever want children, I can't be a smoker and have children. If I want to be in a healthy partnership, I can't be an addict. Like, that, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? You can't, an addict, the addiction is always going to come before somebody else. You know, it's always going to come before me. So yeah, I kind of had to make that choice to stop it, and not just a break, but like for good. It's only been a month, but I definitely see changes in my mindset, and what I'm focusing on, and I just have more energy. I have more money to do things that I actually want to do. And I have more free time. Like, my room would just be in utter chaos, and I just like lived in filth and chaos because my mind was filth and chaos. And it's still, you know, it's only been a month, so I'm still slowly, you know, finding a place for everything. But I recently cleaned my altar, and it feels so good to have an altar again. You know, I have one by my window, and I have one with all of my medicinal things. Speaking of, I have cacao that I'm gonna drink. Okay. Yeah, you know. And just being more present and available for my family, for myself, you know, to make my bed every day and like really be on this new precipice of structure and commitment, because I was attracting people who like were not committed to me romantically. They would just kind of be like, "Woo," which is fine if that's where you're at and that's what you need to do. But I knew deep in my soul that like that's not the kind of person and I want to be or be committed to. You know, in order for me to receive that level of commitment, I need to be committed to myself in a really healthy way. And I feel like going on this journey of sobriety, in a sense, like, you know, I can still sit with other medicines. Even I can have a casual drink once a week or what have you. It's not the same as my relationship with weed and tobacco. And yeah, I encourage anyone who is thinking about it to try it, see how you feel. I know sometimes, like, I never thought I could be a person who just like raw dogs life. Like, even, you know, it doesn't get easier. That people will say, oh, the first 2 weeks are the hardest. And it's like, no, it keeps getting hard, because the coping mechanism that you're using to stave off the big emotions, you no longer have that. So you need to find other ways, you know, and feel it, because that's the thing, is you stuff something down so much with a substance, it's gonna explode eventually. And it was happening even when I smoked, and I was less emotionally regulated to reel that in. And now that I'm not smoking for as long as I have, it feels like, I'm able to look at my emotions in a different way and not let them consume me in a way. Like, I can feel something, I can express my anger, but my anger isn't going to consume me, and then it's not going to like vomit on everyone, and destroy my relationships, because that's not what I want ultimately, for me or for anyone. And for other people who smoke tobacco or cannabis, and you don't see it as a problem. This isn't really for y'all. If whatever how the medicine is administered as it's needed. And the thing is, you don't want to take medicine when you don't need it. And something just like switched in my brain where I was like, not only do I not need it, but I don't want it, and this is just a habit. It's like taking pain medication when you're not in pain and you're all fucked up. Like, I did that once, never again. Never again. I was like, I just want to try it. Let's see what this is. Not it. So, don't do it. And I guess I will end this with a prayer, because I had this idea. This is all new to me. I'm still figuring out how I want this to go. But then I was praying as I was about to sit with some rapé, which is a form of tobacco that I can still ingest, but it's not like, I'm not gonna go round for round every hour or every 20 minutes, just keep doing it. It's definitely something that I treat as a ceremony. But I like praying out loud, and I like praying with people, and I think the power of prayer is amplified when more people are in on it. Like when we witness other people's prayer, or we pray together, or we pray out loud, that is such a powerful reverberation and communication with the universe. So I feel complete in talking about this, and I don't know if people, this is a new YouTube, so I don't know if people are gonna reach out to me and be like, oh my god, I relate, whatever. But yeah, if you want to share your experience with addiction in the comments, you're more than welcome to, and gain support, because we all need the support. I'm very thankful that when I stopped smoking weed, I had a friend who also stopped smoking weed a week prior to me. And when, just through me talking about my experience of not wanting to smoke, we were like, hey, let's be accountability buddies. Like, every time you want to smoke, or every time I want to smoke, let's just hit each other up and be like, yo man, what the heck is going on? SOS, like, what, so having support definitely is key, and I'm willing to support anybody who is thinking about it on their journey. So yeah, let's end this with a prayer. Okay, so also I have a window that I just look up at the sky, so yeah. I just want to say thank you, Creator, for another day in this life. Thank you. I pray that this message is received by people who really need to hear it, and feel like they can gain something out of it, so that they know that they're not alone. I pray that anyone going through an addiction right now, I pray for them. I pray that they can accept that in themselves and know that it doesn't have to be forever. That just because someone has an addictive personality doesn't mean that they're a bad person. I pray that even if they've done bad things, because this addiction has a hold on them, I pray that they forgive themselves, as I know you have already forgiven them for whatever has taken a hold on them. I pray that they can accept themselves and love themselves more and be firm with themselves, but in a loving way. I pray that anyone struggling with an addiction can own up to the fact that they have this thing that, you know, they're willing to look at, and that they love themselves enough that they won't let it rule their life anymore. I pray that all the thoughts and the fears and anxieties and coping mechanisms, the unhealthy coping mechanisms that people have adopted or have been passed down to them through their lineage, I pray that those are replaced with healthy coping mechanisms that are going to heal them and propel them to who it is they truly are and who it is they're meant to be in this life. And I pray that everyone who has these burdens that they carry can, like, on this full moon eclipse, can shed that weight, you know, can shed that density and that harshness, so that they can step into the next phase of who they're meant to be, who they're truly meant to be. And all of the judgments, all of the limitations, all of the not self things that people have placed on themselves or have had placed on them by other people, I pray that those can be lovingly let go and transformed into fuel for their highest and greatest good. I pray that humanity remembers their design, their original blueprint, who they're meant to be, what they're meant to do. And I pray for everyone to find their real purpose in life, that even if it doesn't make sense to other people, that they still have the courage and the wisdom to carry on with it, even if it doesn't make sense. Because ultimately it makes sense to you, Creator, and I know that you put us here for a reason, even if we can't see it quite yet, because we're in the fog and in you know, we're going through it, so you can't always see through it. But if we just keep moving forward through your strength and connection, yeah, I pray we all feel connected, and that humanity remembers its connection to each other, to themselves, their bodies, their minds, their souls, so that we can move forward in a good way. Amen. Aho, ashe, all the good things. Thanks for tuning in.